We are going live. Three, two, one. Hello, everyone. I am Praveen Chitojo, Senior Operation Manager at Snowsys Software Solutions and at TimeChamp. My focus is on building positive workplace cultures and optimizing process and driving impactful digital transformations. And here I'm excited to here today to share insights along with Mr. Saurav Karmakar. And before we dive into the topic, I would like to honor to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Saurav Karmakar. And he is roboticist and research scholar from Triple IT Hyderabad and the CEO of Infosys Tech. Saurav has inspired global audience through TEDx and MIT's FailTech, FailTech and as well as space tech forums and blending deep research with the real world impact. And his innovations in the range of robots for medical and aerospace to assist exoskeletons that supports the mobility for elderly and the defense personnels. And his startup is also pioneered smart and sustainable delivery containers for agri, pharma, and biotech sectors. Beyond tech, Saurav mentors at NASA Space Apps, ADP List, and Niti Aayog Atal Innovation Mission, and serves as the Indian chapter chair for Space Resonance International. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Saurav Karmakar, a visionary leader shaping the future of robotics, sustainability, and platform intelligence. Hi, Saurav. I'm handovering to you. Please start the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Praveen sir. Thank you very much, and thanks, Times Champ, for giving me this opportunity to share my experience about all this journey. And specifically today, we'll be talking about the more. It's more about how uh, the product meets people. If you can see the title, product meets people, managing this through workflows through the platform intelligence. So we are talking all about different kind of workflow intelligence and how we can use the tool so we can actually reduce the requirement of the all the platform adoption. So we have to understand how we basically manage things in a certain way, in a certain manner, and that can be actually utilize the workforce in a organized way. Okay. So again, so thanks for the introduction, and today we'll start the session. And I'm very happy to talk before, after, in the middle. So feel free to discuss if you have any kind of questions. Okay, so as I mentioned that this is going to be a very interesting session for people who are in the top notch, understand the leadership, understand the management, but trying to again overcome the minute details that is required and designed for the responsibility for your team, for the business outcomes, and as well as how you can adopt the new tool. Now, in any software industry, we see that there are a lot of tools available, whether it is from coding, non-coding, CRM, and many more. But we have to understand how we're able to manage this tool effectively and what kind of new responsibilities we can cater in the era of AI and machine learning so we can actually manage our business in more efficient way and we can be more well organized to the international platform. So this is basically for the founders and CXOs and all the top leaders that you can be. And you don't have to be just, having some role in the company. You can be the leaders itself. And the moment you become leaders itself, you have to think how you can innovate through the ecosystem that you have. So that's very important. Okay, so okay, so what are things? What are the basic funda that we are going to discuss? So one is the clear visibility about your team, about workflow, and there are a lot of tools which can actually be used multi-purpose way, but it's not very much utilized. Used and utilized are different. So you can use many tools, you can use different kind of segments, but it should be used in a very useful manner for the company, for the organization, for the team, and the growth of the company. But we can see there are a lot of fatigues, there are a lot of gaps. And that's where I think we come into the picture where times champ also can play a big role that will come next. But yeah, so how we can actually think about the way to reduce the cost for the tools. Now we're talking about optimization, we're talking about AI. How can we reduce the more requirement to the ROI. That means return on investment. So you as an individual, you as a team, or you as a organization. So we all can actually work on the direction that we have to grow our project, or maybe the purposeful outcome. And for that, we need to understand the practical things, how we can understand the wastage of money, whatever happens in the previous cases, and how we can utilize those and reduce the unnecessary requirement. Okay, so that is the thing. So, a lot of times we see the tool adoption is something that is very essential in kind of organization, because if we see the cycle, initially we are talking about a lot of coding tools. From there, now it is coming automation. From automation, now it's like a coding or non-coding platforms are there, where you need to understand the flow, you understand template, and you can actually manage the complete production of it. So, and earlier, imagine like a website is something like we really put a lot of time and effort, but now just with the prompt, you can actually make the website. So the details and the deliverables are changing according to the requirement of the organization. And we should not feel messy, and we should not feel useless. So tool adoption is something that is very important in the journey for any. Okay. And think about like what are things are missing, right? So we have to understand that what are things using more tools. So what happens is when you go for multiple tools, multiple tool adoption, then a lot of cases there is a gap between the team members, between the different teams, and between the management team to technical team, or maybe test teams and all. So we have to understand that how we can actually reduce those gaps, and it should not be organized in a way that it could be only utilized for the single team. It should be utilized for the complete organization in a global manner, because we are all talking, we're all in a global village. We're all about in an ecosystem where we need to segment our resources according to the utilization of future, not the present only. We have to have the clarity about the tools and the value, and how we can actually navigate the things, how we can make the leading outcome as a product manager, or as a CXO, or as a team lead. So that multi-level utilization and the engagement for the productivity is very important. Okay. So for example, so if you see a real-time example, if I can take, and what are the case studies that we have seen? Most of the cases we see that a lot of companies buy a lot of tools, and that is just short form. Because let's say you are taking one tool or one requirement, and that has multiple options, multiple softwares, multiple tools are there. The problem is it has a limitation. It has a every tool has their own specific thing and a few generic things. So we have to understand that how we can manage that tools, and how we can go for the subscription before the renewal and all this process, right? And a lot of cases we see the duplicacy is there, and a lot of cases we see that a lot of mistakes can happen due to the lack of training, lack of understanding, and the gap between the training and trainer, sorry, trainee and trainer, and the timeline. So it's all causing the fatigue and the gaps. Okay, and that's the reason we have to go for proper utilization of the software, and we have to keep us people from the individual level to a organization level. So for example, let's say Shita, if we can take it up, right, as a case study. So what happens is like she is an operational manager, and she has been using for multiple tools for different kind of cross-functional teams, and it's been visible that there are a lot of issues for the dashboards and the features that you're using. It's not able to adapt, because uh, communication, team bonding, and all these things, we need to rely on that kind of tools, certain cases. And you can't jump between tools. So you can't go for some sort of automation tools, and then suddenly you can go for some sort of technical tools and to try to balance it out. So you have to understand that what kind of tool is useful licensing, and how much it is there, what kind of subscription we need. Can we overuse? Can we go for the complete utilization according to organization? And can we complete our project also? It should not breaking any workflow, and the workload that is distributed. So all this question has been aroused, let's say, with team leaders, or maybe the product managers. So we have to adopt that kind of workflow. We have to adopt kind of tools that can manage, that can be useful for that kind of outcome. And it's not just missing data, or maybe the visibility issues and all. So what are the things we see is that the metrics, and I'm using this very technical words. A metric shows that tool features are revised or not actually according to the workflow. And sometimes the switching and the workflow and the duplication is keep happening, even though you focus on the day-to-day activity or monthly, weekly updates. There are a lot of gaps, and it's a very the gap is sustainable. So we have to remove the sustainability. And a lot of times the license issues actually making a lot of clarity. And a lot of cases like lack of license or having license with the proper going terms and conditions, we need to have that kind of clarity from the team management as well as to the ground level workers or the team members. And major issues, one of the major issues that I also perform, like personally see that decisions are made based on the assumptions, not on the real time experience, real time the workflow, right? So these are the few, observation I think as a team lead or as a product manager or as a, as I mentioned, as an individual, you can think, you can use the past experience and try to overcome those experiences. So now if I go for it, like what are the hidden barriers to make this successful platform adoption? One is melting spot. That means you have to think about digital transformation and the research. So most of the times, if I can go for the proper numerical value, so 70% of the digital transformation initiatives are failed to meet their objectives. So the reason is focus is not there, right? And there are a lot of heavy investment. So as a team leader, you have to think, okay, my boss already put a lot of investment for the this product, this tools and all, and we can't match the requirement. And then you have to diversify your focus sometimes on in place of focusing on certain very ROI oriented activity. Then ERP software block, right? Again, that is also 70% that you can see fail due to poor usage of adoption. That means we don't know how to actually utilize the end-to-end subscription for that and how to actually make these things actually available within the timeline. And last is the CFlow industries are analysis, right? So, for example, if you go for 84% of digital transformation, fail due to improver execution. So that means you don't know your goals. So if you go for a very systematic flow, it has a subsystem data and subsystem data. That means you have a particular performance, whether it is you need a test requirement, you need a development, you have to adopt certain technology or tools. You have a flow, you have a workflow, and then each and everything should have a proper requirement, and then the require based on the requirement, think about how to utilize it. And that flow is missing sometimes, and because the goals are not very clear sometimes in the beginning stage, whether you have to go for top bottom approach or top down approach or bottom up. So all these flows are very important in that case also. And if you think about perform platforms, the major key is like it's not failing because of the usability is basically for the features, right? So what happens is like when you think about the real workflow, it doesn't have any particular rule. The rule comes from the particular experience, set of experiences, set of realizations, and set of feedbacks. And that's where I think that lack of visibility is there. And then the leader should actually justify and understand that how we can use this tool to value those timeline, value our workforce, and we can actually overcome the gaps. Okay. So we have a quick poll, and I would request our team also to cooperate. So, for example, what do you think the biggest reason for the yeah for the what do you think is the biggest reason platforms fail to get adopted? So we have options: too many tools getting overlapped with each other, low visibility into how tools are actually used, pay for licenses that deliver little or no value, team losing focus by switching between tools, and all around. So I'm opening this questions to our audience. So yeah, anyone wants to answer, they can answer, and I would request my our organizing team to have the poll for the audience. I hope my screen is visible to everyone. So I request organizing team to just flow the question, and I would request audience to just answer according to your experience so we can carry forward. So we'll have 2 minutes to answer. Yeah, I see that audience is participating actively. Nice. Yeah, I would hold for another 30 seconds and then we'll announce the results and please cooperate. Thanks organizing team to help us in that. Yeah, so we have the results now, I guess. So thanks for, thanks audience to participate on the poll. So all, I think, 1 minute. There's some- Yeah, so we'll show the select results. Okay. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, now, just want this. So I hope all hands got the answer. Move to the next slide. Yeah. So the hidden cost and the poor platform power adoption, right? So that is one thing. So if you see the division that is shown below, is the workflow friction and tool switching is around 30%. I'll come to the again the cause. Now it's the effect I'm talking. Underused, unused license is 20%, collaboration noise from too many tools, 20%, rework and error from the fragment work is 15%, low adoption of core platforms is 15%. So what you can see that there are a lot of gaps and gaps also has a division, right? It's not just a one gap or one module or one something like a misunderstanding or maybe the unused features. There are a framework which is actually missing into the team management, which is causing the lot of core platform adoption. Okay. So what we have to work upon, there should be always the X factor, but along with that, this is the major thing that we can see is we need to address upon to grow our ROI and growth potential in terms of the outcome very much. Okay. Okay. So then we have one more uh, very interesting thing. Why this cost stay hidden, right? So to think about what the categories that it is making this cost hidden. So platforms report login activity not real to value or necessity. Leaders lack visibility into duplicate tools during their same job. License usage is reviewed too late, often to at annual time, and the team compensate quietly the inefficiency. Now, the thing is like login logout activities are sometimes very, it's I can say it's a very professional way, but sometimes it's not having the real tool value, which is necessary, right? And sometimes what happens that as I mentioned that certain we go as per our timelines and the timelines is very restricted in a very organized manner and then To complete the workflow, we lack the visibility to understand the tool and duplicate the tools doing the same job. That is a big issue actually, and that we should think about. License usage of reviewing tool is too late. So for example, you have a license of certain software tools. We have to understand before it's end. We can't just come to the dead end and then we think, okay, we could not use this feature, so we could have used this feature better, or we can repeat it. That decision should be done somewhere in the 30% of the usage, not in the 70% of the usage. It is basically, making things very much delayed, and the poor adoption will cause more delay to the next phases. And as it mentioned, that teams compensate quietly with the workarounds, masking efficiency. This is something that we sometimes we can't measure it. We don't have a measuring tool, or we don't have a tool to understand. So we have to get such kind of mechanism, such kind of organized manner to actually manage the inefficiency. So, and it should not be in a negative way. It should be in a positive way, that we can understand the inefficiency, we address it with the tool, with the proper management, and get back with the proper outcome. Slide. Okay, we have another poll here, so I will give only 30 seconds, not more than that. Please quickly answer so we can go through the next slides. What is the biggest visibility gap you face today, right? And the options are, we don't know tools are actually used versus duplicated, license cost fees higher than the value we get, team jumps across tools, hurting focus and productivity, we only review tool usage at renewal or audit time, all of it. So your time starts now. Please, organizing team, help us to get the quick polls and results. We have 30 seconds, okay? Not more than that. So please complete that fast so we can go for the next slide. Organizing team, is it done? Can we see the results? Okay. So I think the results are out. Uh, okay. Now we go for the next. Okay. So what if you could see how work actually flows, right? For adoption, breaks, cost, and focus spiral. Now, till now we're talking about tools, till now we're talking about the inefficiency, till now we're talking about the gaps in between the decision making for the leadership and all. And then one more section that we need to focus on, the workforce intelligence. It's something that very sometimes certain things, as I mentioned, the word called unmeasurable units, that certain things we can't measure, we can't actually give a numerical value to adapt or not to adopt that kind of mechanism. So this is something that we have to understand. We have to come to the certain parameters. So that could be the workflow intelligence, that it can be a game-changing idea. How? So for example, how it really works, right? So three things are very important when you go for the workforce intelligence, okay? And that is like a visibility with a context, insight without institution, decision grounded in reality. I always feel that customer is our God, and then we should have something that is very transparent. But transparent system will not come on day. You can't just do tracking, you can't do surveillance and micromanagement, and you get that idea that okay, it will happen or not. You have to have the visibility over the context. That means it could be a tool, it could be the multiple tool usage, duplication issues, and how you can create a decision based on the grounded reality. And that's how you can actually measure workforce engagement in a certain manner. Again, I can tell that there are a lot of other X factors, but these are the major things that is coming from feedbacks. Now, I won't repeat this, but you can see these numbers. I hope it is visible clearly. So in case of time champ, right? So time champ is something that can actually give you that option to meet your workforce intelligence in a proper way. So time champ is is a workforce intelligence platform, right? That gives you the clear visibility into how tools are actually used across team. So you can actually identify the duplication, reduce the tool fatigue, and optimize the license cost and the restore the focus. That means it's all in one together. It's give you the game-changing idea, game-changing tool in a very simple manner. So the adaptation won't be a problem. You don't need much time. You don't need much issues. And as a fresh organization, you can also adapt it. You don't have too much of, previous backlogs to think about to optimize the license price. So it's a very focused and restore is easy. And you can see all the data. I'm not repeating those. Okay, next slide. So in terms of the so in terms of the real workforce visibility across tool and time, you have to understand three things. One is workflow friction becomes visible before adoption phase. So in case of time jam, it provides the how basically things works, right? How people move across tools, task, and time. So there are three T that we're talking about: tools, task, and time that we have to actually address properly, and we have to measure it actually. And then you have to understand the context. Sometimes context can be the same. It can switch to different direction based on the 3T that I mentioned. And this way can productivity be drops and it could be growth. So you have to actually get that aspect with respect to 3 2, how your context is switching and how your productivity can increase or decrease. And you have to identify tools that is driving the real work from the distraction and the spot the focus the frictions and make the outcome in a reality. So you can see this kind of comparison when non-productive applications group and productive application group, right? So a few of them is, for example, how to implement the real uh, how to implement a real book on Netflix homepage. So all these things you can see that I'm not going to read it. So you can understand these are the few gaps which is making this context more productive, more work oriented. And remember, three T's are very important in that. Next. So now if you think about the key features, the main focus is actionable insights in the user report, right? So if you think about the core value, we have to understand the tools, spend how many active users are actually using the tool. Otherwise, we can actually abort it certain temporarily in a pause manner. And how frequently it can be used. So you can understand the tool A, tool B, and tool C. It can have multiple things, time tracking, as well as the frequency that you're using and the depth that we require to understand that. So all these breakdowns are very important. And if it is not utilized, so for it could be a feature of a tool or it could be everything of a tool, right? So you have to understand and you have to balance that license usage and it should not be wasted. And this way you can actually eliminate the required things and non-required things, and based on that, we can reduce the cost also and license overlap. Okay, so now the next thing is about the features, right? So productivity influence beyond the user metrics. So in case of time champs, we can actually think three things very important. How frequently teams switches between tools during the workday. Identify tools that interrupts the focus without adding meaningful values. Configure the productive work actually means for the team. That means uh, it can define you the proper teamwork rather than that bits and pieces is surrounding around. Slide. And this is something that I've been studying in the WIT is behavioral research. In behavioral research, work-life balance is very important. If you see other tools and equity time champs actually helps you to identify the proper work hours and after work hours tool usage and pen a proper pattern. And you get the data of the analytical understanding, how you overwork and assessment the strain signals, spot early disengagement signals before productivity or adoption declines, right? So you have to understand that how can you deal with the disengagement signals before the productivity or adoption declines? So those are very important aspects. Before you choose, behavioral workflow balance is very important in case of the management as well as the leadership position as well. So you have to plan accordingly. Okay, and why time sense? Like we have been discussing about a lot of tools, tricks, plans, execution, but why time term something different? Why it is unique? As a startup owner and as a startup CEO, I understand that team management is very important. Okay, and it's my personal experience, and I'm dealing with time from last 1 year. And if you think about other tools and time frames show you what happened and what to do next. So it gives you the clarity is about the real-time scenario and how to deal with it with the different features, different applications. You have to understand the real tool usage patterns and the time spent across the application, spot workflow friction overload and the usage gaps within the adoption start slipping. That means you have to understand that kind of workflow, how the difference is there, how different kind of overloads are there, how you can remove the gaps and separate the real work from the collaboration knowledge, right? So there are a lot of shadow works are there, there are a lot of uh, how can I say the misjudgment of work is there. So we can actually remove those things and it gives you the clear usage and the license of the reports to make the evidence-based decision on the workflow and platform. So I think clarity is something that is more important from the end-to-end scenario. When we are working as a team member or team lead or a CXO position, every moment it defines a better team bonding with a more clarity. So our energy, our workforce, and our outcome will be in a proportionate manner, and that's where time chance comes into the picture. So if you think about how time should solve the platform adoption challenge, here you are. Basically reveals how you work, move end-to-end tools, handcuffs, and the team over time things. Surface hidden frictions and overload before adoption drops, and reduce tool fatigue by identifying identifying those where focus is lost due to the constant switching. Transform usage and license data into clear decision-ready insights. Help leaders take timely evidence-based action on platforms. So this I can agree completely because I have been, facing this kind of issues as a CXO or as a CEO, and I see that even if you deal with a small team or big team, time chance even not only software, I feel hardware startup also should adopt this kind of product or this kind of tools with and without license. Understand that how it is valuable certain extent. So as a leader, as a CXO position, definitely you should try this and go ahead. So I would say the case study where IT service companies actually adopt and not. So in case of challenges, the thing is like the disconnect between the tools and the limited visibility. How you basically take the action. You have to take the action in terms of implementing the time champ to gain the clear insight and understand the workflow, and the result you can see huge. Initially, if you have a 30% increment in your team productivity, that can give you a lot of ROI. And you can see that 30 to 40% of the reduction in the project delays. And at least you know that 8 hours is something that is very crucial. You can't change it. You can change the attitude, you can change the outcome with the same timeline. Okay. So these are the few, I think, benefits or few things that we can obviously see before and after time chains come into the picture. And you can get the better visibility, more optimistic license usage, reduce the tool fatigues, adoption of your workflow and behavior signals. Based on that, you can take the decisions and you can make a workflow in a very measured and controlled manner to get a better outcome. Okay. And with type chef, I think the product meets people, which we already told in the beginning. That's where I feel is like, a time chef is something which makes people to realize how usage of proper tool in a proper time and in a proper workflow, we can gain the best outcome into the picture. You don't have to worry. And we're talking about sustainability. We're talking about a lot of global inclusion in terms of the workflow. We're talking about merging of different tools, AI, automation tools. I think that gives a proper real-time productivity. As a owner or as a workflow champion, we need this kind of product to make individual output better as well as the organization output better as well. So these are like something that I would say I would recommend that start with the free trials and you understand the gap, you understand what are the things that you can cover up, and from there you can compare also if you have used similar tools, and then time jump will actually make a difference for sure. So I think these are the few trials that I can share, I guess, and I think organizing team can talk to you more, better manner with your requirement, and maybe it could be more customized according to your requirement, and it can help you to define your workflow based on your outcome. That's all. So this is basically, book your demo, understand how to go ahead, and you can manage these things with your requirement. And I would definitely recommend all of you to try this, understand how it works, and give the feedback to TimeChamp team as well as that you can make more improvement and bring more workflow in a more real time. Okay, so these are the few things that you have to think about. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Saurav, for a wonderful session. And as well as thanks for sharing your feedback on TimeChamp. As you are one of the customer of TimeChamp, we are very honored because the whatever the experience you shared with our audience today, it will be more valuable for us. And behalf of entire Snowsis and TimeChamp team, I'm saying thanks to you, Saurabh. We'll meet again. Thank you everyone for joining the session.